I lost. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. So this week, I'm sure you can see by the title, by the little intro, whatever, I got rejected. I entered my very first scriptwriting competition a couple months ago, and yesterday the results came out for the quarterfinalist stage and my script was not selected. And I kind of just wanted to talk about like how I'm moving through this and how like I'm dealing with rejection, because I think, you know, rejection can be really hard. And especially when you have something like rejection sensitivity dysphoria pulling into it and things like that. So I want to talk about what I've learned from these situations and things that I've done that can help me, and specifically kind of how I'm working through this particular rejection. So the first thing that I think is really, really, really important to discuss when it comes to dealing with rejection is I don't judge myself for my reaction. I let myself have that initial reaction, whether I'm angry or sad and I like cry, or I'm like in the little self-pity boat, or even if I'm excited. Whatever it is, I let myself have that initial reaction. For me, that initial reaction usually doesn't last longer than the end of that day. Of course, that depends on what the rejection is for. Different things will have different kind of severities. But I let myself have that. And if I notice it start to go on negatively in a way that I don't want it to for a longer period than I'd like it to, I'll start to kind of pull myself together. But I don't tell myself I have to react a certain way when I first get a rejection. Like, I honor how I feel about it, whatever that is. Yesterday, honestly, I knew that I probably wouldn't advance. It's the first script I've ever entered into a competition. There was a less than 1% acceptance rate, I guess if that's the right word. More than 5,500 scripts entered. 55 were chosen as quarterfinalists. If that script made it through, it would have been unbelievable for me. Like, it really was a far thing. A lot of why I entered was, I mean, obviously to win. You don't enter not to win, but I wanted the experience. I wanted to understand entering competitions and do it and just try it and experience it and figure the whole thing out and learn from it. So I think that helps, is like I wasn't devastated because I kept my expectations in that realm as from the moment that I entered the competition. I mean, of course I daydreamed about winning the whole thing, but of course I did. So when I saw that I didn't advance, I was pretty calm about it. Like, I was of course disappointed because it would have been cool if I did then go ahead and advance, but because of where my mindset was at with it, my reaction was in accordance. So from there, I start to kind of figure out kind of what I want to do with this rejection. Sometimes it's just like, okay, I did that, let's move on, and not think about it or do anything with it. Like, the action is just moving on and going forward with my life. Sometimes it's learning and growing. So with this particular instance for me, I'm really excited to get back into my script and keep working on it and like learning from it and growing as a writer and becoming a better writer. Like, I'm 21. This is not the peak of my writing. So I'm just seeing this as like proof that I've got more learning and growing to do, and that my growth as a writer, my journey as a writer it's at its beginning, which is something I'm excited to see and experience and live through. So I'm excited about moving through it. Sometimes something that I try to do is like figure out why the thing that I got rejected for, from, or whatever, was important to me, and if there's another avenue to reach that same goal. You know, I've had a lot of rejection when it comes to accommodation requests, and those can be really difficult and really devastating and so personal and so upsetting. And so sometimes it's a matter of, okay, well, what was this accommodation doing? And is there another avenue through which I can still have that be addressed? Whether it's another accommodation or something that I need to do myself. I've honestly pulled back from requesting accommodations just because of how terrible the experience has been. You know, getting denied for reasonable requests and being told that, like, I'm not doing enough, or like I'm not trying hard enough, or my reasonable requests aren't reasonable. And so for me, like, yeah, part of it with those kinds of rejections has been pulling back and finding other avenues to address the issues that the accommodations would have addressed. And then I try to put myself into action to do something with what I'm feeling. So for me, in this competition example, today for my writing of the day, I'm going back to the script that I entered and looking through it and figuring out where I want to take it, what improvement it needs, like what in it may have been what didn't get it forward, and where I can do better as a writer, and where it can go and how it can grow and how I can grow. So that's something I can do with this. Sometimes, like, for me, the action may not be directly related to the rejection. Sometimes I just need an action to, like, move myself forward onto what I'm doing next. Sometimes that's like listening to music and belting, and sometimes it's driving around and belting in my car and just like feeling. You know, sometimes it's getting work done, cleaning my room, like just something to kind of bring me from this to the next. And it doesn't always have to be directly related to the rejection itself. So that's kind of like a process I've noticed I can go through when I get a rejection. Everybody deals with this kind of stuff differently, and there are different things that work for different people, and I think it's so important not to judge ourselves or each other for what works for us in dealing with rejection. Rejection is so hard, and it's so personal, and it's so an individual experience. And I'm sorry if you're dealing with that right now. I hope that my experience and my tips help you. So I'm gonna go ahead and get writing and get working. So I will see you guys again next week for my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!